Hi, guys. Welcome back. My name is Tatiana, owner and founder of Victory in Motion LLC, also a licensed master social worker. Today, I'm going to continue with the topic of parenting adult children. And so this one comes from a conversation that I had with a parent of adult children herself. One of the things that stood out to me is the concept that she said. In so many words, she basically said, I realized that my parenting had to develop as my children developed. She said, my parenting style had to change because I couldn't continue to parent in the same way as when they were children. This sentence, or what she said, was so simple, but it was very disruptive because some parents of adult children, their relationships break down over time, as stated, not due to lack of love, but because there wasn't a shift or an adjustment as the children grew up. This caused disruption because even though the children grew up, the parenting did not. The parenting styles did not shift. So if you have ever thought to yourself, I don't understand why there's so much distance between us now, or I'm just trying to help, but it seems to keep causing tension. They're not receiving it. This may be a conversation for you. So, parenting adult children is one of those conversations or transitions that's not so much talked about when it comes to family life. There's not too many manuals regarding it, right? It's not like there's some, great ceremony that takes place that's marking that transition or the shift. And there is no real clear guidance on how to update your role as a parent as your child gets older and develop, right? So, as mentioned, some of the issues can come about because parents continue to show up the same way and they may be confused on why it's no longer working. I want to at least break down some of the reasons on what has to change, why it may be difficult, and what actually strengthens the relationship in adulthood. Because some of the shifts may explain some of the tension that you may have been quietly carrying. And some of the key role shifts that I'm going to at least mention today is the shift from authority to influence, from management to relationship, and from direction to discernment. And so here's the thing, parenting was never meant to be static, which means that you just choose one way of parenting and it stays that way for the remainder of being a parent to your child. But what worked for your child when they was 5 was supposed to change at 15. That doesn't mean like some of your core principles or core values need to change, just some of the other efforts that have been put into place that no longer works. Like for instance, you probably don't talk to your 25-year-old child the same way you talked to them when they were 3 or when they were an infant. As their language developed and their understanding and comprehension developed, so did the way that you have talked to them. And so also the same goes for what shifted or when they changed to the age of 15 may have also changed or was supposed to change with you when they turned 25. But we hear the word consistency all the time, right? Consistency, keep doing the same thing over and over again. That's going to get you massive results. And consistency is definitely great. But consistency matters when it matches the developmental stage, especially when it comes like to this particular topic with parenting adult children. Consistency matters when it matches the developmental stage. So when children become adults, the relationship changes, whether the parents want to adjust or not. And so the question is not if the role shifts, it's whether the parent chooses to shift with it. When the shift doesn't happen, parents can feel dismissed. It may feel like they're not heard, and some adult children may feel like the parents are trying to control them. Both sides might be feeling misunderstood. If your parenting is still rooted in authority, management, or direction. Tension may be the signal that it's time for a shift. When the children are younger, authority is necessary because you set the rules, you set the tones, you make the decisions, and you enforce consequences. Excellent, because that's needed. Children don't know about too much. They go by the standards that you set, the examples that you exude. This is responsible. This is our responsibility, right? And it's not really harmful. So when somebody sets something in place, especially for your safety, guidelines and structure is not set up for your destruction or for the children's destruction. It's rather to keep them safe and to help them grow in confinement that is appropriate for their development and their age. But some of that authority and the levels of that authority, the way that you've done it in the past when they were children, eventually reaches an expiration date. So when they become an adult, your authority may stop creating closeness, but resistance, because influence starts to have more of an impact on your child, which is probably why sometimes when the teenagers get more closeness with their friends and their peers, that influence has such a huge impact on their decision making, on the things that they're saying now. And they may look like a totally different person to you. Influence is what works differently. It's not demanded, it's something that's invited. And you influence adult children when they feel respected instead of corrected. Like was said in a previous video, correction is still needed. But how do you go about doing it at certain stages? They feel trusted instead of monitored. And influence comes when your adult child know that your voice is available, but not imposed. Just because you have something to say, parents, doesn't mean that it always needs to be said. This requires restraint and self-control and also wisdom. Is this the right time to say what it is that you want to say? Doesn't necessarily need to be said to your child. And this is something that you might need to just probably discuss with your partner, maybe a close friend. Don't share with everybody because everybody don't need to be in the mix. But is this something that you need to probably process a little bit more before you immediately say it to your adult child? So you don't have to bulldoze your ideas or the wisdom that you feel like they need. The moment a parent insists on being heard, your influence drops. Influence can grow with adult children when they feel safe enough to come to you, not obligated to listen to you. And this can be a challenging shift, especially for the parents who have sacrificed so much. But again, sometimes these shifts gotta happen. One of the other shifts that I mentioned earlier is this shift from management to relationship. Now, some people are able to start early when it comes to building relationship with their children. They have a good balance, per se, of management and relationship. But let's talk about what management may look like. Even if you think about your job, management typically looks like oversight. It's checking in frequently, monitoring choices, offering solutions before being asked, and just being involved with your child just in case. And so this makes total sense when your children are dependent on you, when they strongly need you, when they strongly need your guidance, your expertise. They need you as a parent in that particular role. But as they grow and develop, and they experience this type of management, sometimes it can be like, okay, I don't feel like you're supporting my growth right now. It may feel like you as their parent are doubting now, because some management can communicate, I don't trust you to handle your own life. I'll do it for you. I know what's best for you. This is another one of those moments where it's just like, is this really the time to share what it is you're itching to get out right now? Did they ask you for your feedback? As a parent of an adult child, use wisdom on the when, the how, and even the whys of some of the things that you want to share. Relationship may communicate something different, like, I respect you as a capable adult. The hard part with this also is, even if you know they're about to make a foolish decision, you cannot control them. You can't control them. Just like sometimes your parents may have told you something and you totally did the opposite. It's your choice. You have free will. You can always give them knowledge and suggestions as they ask. It's up to them whether they want to exercise that or not. And it's going to save you so much stress, time, and trouble. If you get to a point where you learn to exercise, I gave all I can. It's up to you what you do with the information that I gave you. So in adulthood, connection becomes choice-based. You are not responsible for fixing their problems. Ooh, I hope that just helps somebody. You are not responsible for fixing their problems. If they make a mistake, they'll make a mistake. Sometimes there may be big mistakes, but the more we enable certain behaviors, the more we get in the way of them developing, getting that grit, developing resilience, so they can get to the place where they need to be and do things sufficiently and effectively on their own. You are responsible for being emotionally present without hovering, and whatever else that you guys have agreed on in this relationship. So the relationship strengthens when adult children feel that you are with them and not over them. So if you ever thought, I'm just staying involved because I care about them, you can ask yourself this: does my involvement feel supportive? Or am I feeling more like their supervisor or their manager? That distinction can change some things, even for you. All right, y'all. The third shift is from direction to discernment. Direction, telling someone what to do, telling them where to go, how to do it. Discernment involves helping someone think. Parents may say, I'm just trying to guide them. But the adult children may not experience that guidance the same way that children do. They experience direction as instruction, even if it's well intended. Discernment can sound a little bit different, and you may involve questions like, what do you think you're learning from this? You can get them to start asking themselves questions, process the decisions and the opportunities that are at hand. What feels aligned for you right now? What outcome are you preparing for? And this approach, this change in approach, even with the questions that's being asked, matters because they themselves get to develop judgment, like we talked about before, the wisdom that's needed for decision making. Because your role for them is not to decide for them anymore. You don't need to make decisions for them anymore. You get to help them to develop clarity and confidence to make their own decisions. Because I'm sure some of us have, I know I have, we have seen adult children who seem to have a great challenge making their own decisions and may go to and fro to different people in different areas, looking for answers from everybody else because they don't know how to make sound decisions on their own. Making these shifts as a parent can help in building maturity for your children. Now, sometimes these are the things that people don't want to say out loud. That parenting adult children requires emotional growth from the parents. And Some parents feel like they've done all the growing that they can do. If that's what you feel, I'm going to challenge you to rethink that. If you really believe that you have done all the growing that you can do, it may be some time for some reevaluation and reflection. I don't know how old you may be, how young you may be, but there's always room for growth. Parents get to tolerate discomfort, disagreement, letting go, and being less central. And sometimes with the emotions that we experience, anxiety that comes up may show up as advice. Fear can show up as control. Loss of relevance or not feeling important may show up as over involvement. And discomfort doesn't necessarily equate to danger. Allowing your adult child to struggle does not mean that you have failed. It means that you are allowing their development to take place. I really hope that some of these things are freeing some of you guys today. The next piece can determine whether the relationship heals or quietly hardens. Okay? Updating the role. And when there's distance, it doesn't always mean rejection, right? Sometimes it can mean that your children, your adult children, are just protecting themselves from outdated dynamics, techniques that's not working anymore. You know, repair doesn't belong with explanation, it begins with ownership, not with saying, I was just doing my best. But it can mean or sound like I'm learning how to show up different. You don't have to have all the answers. It's a learning process. And even your acknowledgement that you are learning and unlearning some things will even show the maturity in you. So even saying things like that can soften years of tension and allow space and room for healing. Because the repair focuses on who you are now, not defending who you used to be. All right. So let's recap. Remember, parenting adult children is not about control. It involves adjustment. And even asking questions like, how do I relate to them? Not necessarily asking yourself, okay, how do I guide them? What should I tell them to do next? You don't have to solve their problems anymore, remember? And so when you as parents grow, or when parents grow, the relationship grows. And this may sound like such a huge responsibility for you as parents, but I'm telling you, you have so much more power than you realize. Not power to overtake your adult children, but the power to shift and adjust so that great change can be made. And when parents stay rigid, nothing changes, distance can grow. The development didn't stop for your children. And guess what? It didn't stop for you either. So hopefully this conversation, this chat, gives some type of language to what it is that you may have been feeling. Share this video with someone who needs it. Watch it back again. Leave some feedback in the comments, and I would love to hear how some of these tips that you may take away have helped you to make changes within yourself and in your family. And please remember that it's never too late to update your role, and it's never too late to change some of the things that may have served you before, but isn't necessarily serving you now. All right. Until next time.